A beautiful young woman tortured, killed, then sliced in half at the waist with surgical precision.
50 years ago tonight, that discovery began a mystery that would become the most infamous unsolved murder in the history of Los Angeles and maybe the United States.
Tony Valdez is live in the Crenshaw district with a look at the Black Dahlia murder. Tony.
Christine, this is Norton Avenue between Coliseum Street and 39th. 50 years ago, most of these homes hadn't been built. And so, in the very early morning hours of Wednesday, January 15th, 1947, someone who had a dead body to get rid of decided that this spot right about here would be the perfect place to dump it.
The movie True Confessions gave us a fictionalized look at what it was like that morning as police and reporters poured over the vacant lot where the nude body of a young woman had been found. In real life, it was Betty Bersinger who called police after realizing that it was a dead woman, not a discarded department store mannequin, that was lying in the vacant lot down the street from her home. The first person to see the body up close was Los Angeles Examiner reporter Will Fowler. He heard the call on his police radio and arrived before anyone else.
When I got up to it, I turned to my photographer and I said, "Hey, Felix," I said, "this woman's cut in half."
The pictures that Felix Pagel took were much too gruesome, even for a Hearst newspaper, so the Examiner's art department painted a blanket over the body and airbrushed away the grotesque damage to the woman's face. Here's the same photo in its nearly original form. Body details have been deliberately removed.
Where the body was cut in half, it was done very almost professionally, like a meat cutter or a guy who had knowledge of dressing deer down in the field or something like that.
Fowler also saw evidence of torture and mutilation all over the girl's body. Plus, it had been drained of all its blood, scrubbed clean with a bristle brush, and her hair had been shampooed.
The only thing is I touched her eyes because they were open and I figured they should be closed.
A newspaper artist was called in again, this time to the morgue, to try to give a face to the body with the toe tag that read Jane Doe number 1. As the artist tried different interpretations, the Examiner was using an early version of a fax machine to send the body's fingerprints to the FBI in Washington. Within hours, instead of days, there was a positive identification. The dead woman was 22-year-old Elizabeth Short. Her photo and her fingerprints were on file because she had worked at Camp Cook near Santa Barbara during World War II.
Long ago and far away.
She was born in Boston on July 29, 1924, to Cleo and Phoebe Short. He built miniature golf courses. She raised their 5 daughters. Elizabeth was always described as the shy and quiet one.
She was a very affectionate, sweet girl. And if she was out at night, she always stopped in my bedroom to talk. And she would talk and tell everything that she had done and everything.
As Cleo's business prospered, the family moved to Medford, Massachusetts. That's where artist Mary Pacios grew up, idolizing her older friend Betty.
She was beautiful, statuesque, and had a real warmth about her. She loved people.
The next big break came from the Atwater Hotel in Long Beach. Herald Express reporter Bevo Means discovered that Elizabeth Short had lived there briefly and that her wardrobe of dark clothing had earned her a nickname, the Black Dahlia. It was a spin-off from the Blue Dahlia, the name of a popular 1946 movie that had been showing at a theater around the corner. The first murder suspect was Red Manley, a traveling salesman who lived in Southgate with his wife and child. He had given Elizabeth a ride from San Diego to downtown Los Angeles. Manley dropped her off at the Biltmore Hotel. It was the evening of January 9th, nearly a week before she was murdered. It was the last confirmed sighting of the Black Dahlia alive. With Manley's help, detectives found luggage Elizabeth had checked at the Greyhound bus station. Inside a suitcase, they found candles that provided the wax she had used to fill the cavities in her teeth. There were cryptic, unsigned telegrams. One from Washington, D.C. read, "A promise is a promise to a person of the world." And there were several love letters she had written but never sent, all of them addressed to servicemen. 9 days after the body was found, an envelope was sent to the examiner. Inside were Elizabeth Short's birth certificate, her Social Security card, as well as an address book with several missing pages. Everything had been soaked in gasoline to remove fingerprints. There was also a promise that the killer would surrender. He or she never did. Red Manley was eventually cleared as a suspect, but not before some tense moments at detective headquarters. On the left of the photo are Manley's wife Harriet and his father William. Across the table are the Black Dahlia's sister Virginia and her mother. Meanwhile, men all over the United States, as well as a few women, began to claim that they were the Black Dahlia's killer. They came to be known as Confessin' Sams, but not one of the more than 500 self-proclaimed killers knew facts about the murder that had been kept secret by police. In their search for the killer, police questioned people like Lynn Myers, a former roommate, and George Price, a Hollywood photographer who reportedly had taken pinup pictures of the Black Dahlia. By the time Elizabeth Short was buried at Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland, detectives had found that the aspiring actress knew a lot of men, that she had never lived in any one place for very long, and that in one of her life's great ironies, she was not all that she appeared to be. Harry Hansen was one of the original Black Dahlia detectives.
There was no record of any solicitation, offering, resorting, or prostitution in any form. She'd bait and take all she could get and give out nothing. She wouldn't put out.
The fact is that she couldn't. Sources familiar with the autopsy findings and members of Elizabeth's family confirm that she had a physical condition which made sexual intercourse virtually impossible.
It's a stigma that was attached to this whole thing, with her being portrayed in the press as this, this prostitute who wore black clothes that walked the back streets and the back alleys of all the major cities of the nation, and which was really farthest from the truth.
So what are we to make of this woman who finally found in death the fame that eluded her in life? The answer's not on Norton Avenue, where there's nothing that even hints at what happened here so long ago, but in Medford, right off Interstate 93, there's a monument to the Black Dahlia's life and death. It was paid for by Kyle Wood, a young man who hadn't even been born yet when Elizabeth Short was killed by person or persons unknown.
Tomorrow night, when this 50th anniversary special report concludes, we'll show you some of the theories about who killed the Black Dahlia and why. Reporting live from the Crenshaw District, I'm Tony Valdez. John, Christine, back to you.
Thank you, Tony. Fascinating look back.
Sure is.
Final return.